What's up, everybody? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button to the Hoops Tonight YouTube channel, and then follow me on social media on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter so you guys don't miss any of our content over the course of this season. All right, let's talk some basketball. Let's head over to the film. I've titled this segment The Anatomy of an Ass Kicking. So the Clippers got off to a 35-4 start against the Suns. We're going to look at the specifics here on some film. All right, so first, we're going to go over the main coverage issue that Phoenix was having with the Clippers. And the main coverage issue was they were, on account of Paul George being such a good pull-up jump shooter, they were hedging and recovering on ball screens. So here we have Grayson Allen guarding Paul George. We have Zubac getting ready to set the screen. Drew Eubanks, again, what his job here is with the hedge and recover is to stop Paul George from making a drive to his left-hand side and then recover inside. But Paul George is beating it, and Zubac is beating it just with a basic slip. So what we're going to see here, we're going to see Zubac step out, and as he steps out, that lunge step, Paul George picks up his dribble immediately. There's not a lot of length on the ball to disrupt this pass, unfortunately, so it's a really easy over-the-top pass to Zubac slipping down the lane. He's going to slip, and that's Bradley Beal waiting for him at the rim. It's just not enough size in that case. He misses this layup, but again, he's just too big for all these guys down low, and he's able to clean it up and get another offensive rebound. Same exact sort of thing here off of the KD missed free throw. It was doomed from the start. Missed first two free throws. Just a weird game for the Suns. But here we go. Same exact sort of thing. We got KD on the ball this time, so more length on the ball. Eubanks is guarding Zubac. We're going to get another slip. And again, KD's got to do a better job with active hands here. Again, when we talk about the defense getting into rotation, if you make this pass difficult, this pass to the slipper, if you make it difficult, he might fumble it. It might be harder for him to make a play out of it. But if you just let him easily get a catch on the slip, same sort of hedge from Eubanks, if you let him easily get a catch, then you're compromised. He comes downhill. Grayson Allen is tagging off of Norman Powell here in the left corner, and Norman Powell just cuts along the baseline and gets an easy dunk. So as you can see, the main coverage issue that the Suns were dealing with at the beginning of the game was they were hedging and giving up easy slips on the back end. This is a great example of individual defense from Terence Man leading to defensive playmaking from Russ. So I cut this play with the transition sequence so that we can see Russ's dunk. But on this play, Terence Man is doing what's called top blocking. So Eubanks has the ball. Then Grayson Allen is setting a pin down on Devin Booker, or on Terence Man to help Devin Booker get open. And then Devin Booker is going to come all the way around this dribble handoff from Eubanks. See how Terence Man has positioned himself between Booker and the screen? That's called top blocking. He's refusing the use of the screen. And Zubac is there to help on a backdoor cut because Drew Eubanks is a non-shooter. Now, Devin Booker does eventually get around him, but it's more difficult, right? He's been dealing with a physical, aggressive play from Terence Man. That is now going to cause Devin Booker to rush this sequence. Terence Man recovers, and now he's locking and trailing. He's right behind him, right? So this is a pretty easy read for Devin Booker as he comes down here. Russell Westbrook is digging down with what's called nail help because he's coming down off the wing to the nail to help. If he just takes his time and makes this over-the-top kick to Bradley Beal, now we're in rotation. We have a baked-in driving lane rip through to the right that is almost certainly going to draw Paul George and help, which is going to generate a wide-open three for Kevin Durant. But instead, and I attribute this to Terence Mann, Devin Booker's rushing, and he just throws a lazy swing pass that gets easily stolen and taken the other way for a dunk. That's an example of making an offensive player uncomfortable with physical ball pressure. So, moving on to our next clip, we're going to get another example of extra efforts from the Clippers. First, as Grayson Allen is running out on this transition possession, Norman Powell is going to make an effort to make Grayson Allen change his shot. That effort forces him to shoot a tougher up and under layup. But watch Terence Mann bringing the physicality to the situation. Kevin Durant has inside position. All he has to do is squat down low in a box out and hold his ground, but he's too passive. Terence Mann just goes right through him, shoves him, taps out the rebound. And again, you're going to be like, oh, that's an over-the-back foul. Not in the postseason, it's not. That shit's allowed all the time. Like I was talking about in our power ranking segment, these games, they get physical, they turn into rock fights. The Clippers are punching. What you're seeing right now is you are watching the Clippers punch the Suns in the mouth and them just sit there and take it. And that's the reality of this type of physical type of game. The tap out goes to Paul George. Paul George just confidently walks into a pull-up three-point shot. Another hedge and recover sequence. Russell Westbrook on the ball. Bradley Beal defending him. We're going to get our ball screen. It's going to be Paul George with Kevin Durant on him. We're going to get the ball screen with Eubanks. Another hedge. On the hedge, Zubac is slipping, but he's a little bit late to get back, which brings Devin Booker into the lane here. So we get another hedge. This time, Eubanks is a little further out. Zubac is going to slip into the middle of the lane. Because of this slip, so remember, when we typically are in a drop coverage, we're running what's called no roller behind, which means his job is to stay further back and keep Zubac in front so that Devin Booker can stay in a position to close out. But because he's hedging, the roller is getting behind. When the roller does get behind, you have to tag. When there's a tag, that's going to leave an open shooter on the weak side. Paul George makes a really nice read here because Bradley Beal is helping down off the nail and leaving Russell Westbrook open. Russell Westbrook makes the extra pass to Terence Man in the corner, and he knocks down the three. So once again, that's our third example here in the opening sequence in just 2.5 minutes of basketball of that hedge and recover scheme burning Phoenix. Here's a great example of incredible individual defense by Terence Man on Devin Booker. Once again, physical from the start. Watch. Okay, Terence Man identifies this action is for him. We're going to get the exact same sequence we saw earlier. A pin down from Grayson Allen on to Terence Man and a dribble handoff from Eubanks kind of coming over to this side. This time, though, we're not going to get nail help from Paul George. He's going to stay home on Bradley Beal. So as Bradley Beal comes through, or as Devin Booker fights over the top, look at Terence Man stay attached over the top of this screen. Look at this individual defense here. Chase, slide back in front. He gets back in front and gets a great contest on Devin Booker. That's outstanding individual defense by Terence Man. And again, to be clear, we know Devin Booker can handle that type of defense. We know Devin Booker can make that shot. But this is how you help lead a player into the lesser efficient outcomes. This is how you control your destiny and make it more likely that he's having an off night. Here's a possession from earlier in the game with a similar back pressure applied by Russell Westbrook. Ball screen, Bradley Beal is going downhill. He's got a head of steam. Russ just gets over the top. He has one job. Make Bradley Beal think about him coming there. Over the top, gets a good final contest. That's how you prevent an offensive player from getting comfortable. Here's an example of how switching can stagnate a defense or stagnate an offense. So again, we have Russell Westbrook on Kevin Durant. We have Norman Powell on Grayson Allen. Now it's a switch. Now Norman Powell is on KD and Russell Westbrook is on Grayson Allen. So whatever little action they were running, that action is now over. Now Eubanks is going to set a pin down on Norman Powell. Problem is they don't want Zubac to switch onto KD. So this is kind of like just an example of a smart pre-switch. Instead, they just have Russell Westbrook switch back out onto KD so that Norman Powell can switch back out onto Grayson Allen and Zubac can stay on Eubanks. So smart little switching scheme to shut down that action. Now KD comes up to set the ball screen. Russ and Paul George just switch. And so all of that action that they just ran accomplished absolutely nothing. Now Russell Westbrook, a very good perimeter defender, is on Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal doesn't really know what to do. There's only 10 seconds on the shot clock. He just throws this super lazy swing pass to Grayson Allen that gets a turnover. That's a turnover caused by stagnation caused by switching. Just a ridiculous piece of shot making by Paul George over Kevin Durant in the corner. Little step back. Unbelievable piece of shot making. This is a really high IQ example of defensive playmaking by Russell Westbrook. The Suns are going to set up for what's called stack pick and roll. So Bradley Beal has the ball. Drew Eubanks is going to set the ball screen on Terence Man. Zubac is in a drop coverage. Now, we know we've covered stack pick and roll on this show before. Bradley Beal has one job here. He needs to set a back screen on Ivica Zubac, okay? And the reason why he's setting that back screen on Ivica Zubac is to basically open up this role for Eubanks coming over the top. Because if Zubac gets back screened and Russell Westbrook follows Bradley Beal, Eubanks is going to slip wide open on that backside. Russell Westbrook knows it's coming. You can't hear it because I have the sound turned off, but you actually hear Russell Westbrook screaming out the coverage as this is happening. And you can actually see his mouth open as he's yelling. But as he's yelling, Bradley Beal comes to set the back screen on Zubac. Russell Westbrook knows the play. He knows this is the read. This is a back screen. This guy's the read. Russell Westbrook is going to peel off of Bradley Beal and jump into that passing lane and get a steal. So again, that's 100% scouting and understanding the set that the offense is running. That is a high IQ defensive play made by Russell Westbrook to get a dunk out the other way. Alrighty. This is just a bad possession of off-ball defense from Devin Booker. We're going to get a run-through from Paul George here. Kevin Durant appears to be trailing. Devin Booker takes a step up like he's going to switch, but I don't know why, because Kevin Durant's going through. So this is poor communication here. And again, the Suns, I've shown examples. We went over it on film last week. They can communicate. I've seen Devin Booker be the leader of that communication. This is just poor effort. They're not talking. As a result, Terence Man slips back door and Russell Westbrook hits him with the dunk. Here's an example of that physical punching in the mouth that I was talking about. How about just a transition kick ahead to Terence Man? Watch Terence Man just bully Kevin Durant into his chest and get all the way to the rim. That's bringing the fight. Here's an example of the difference in physical advantages. Kevin Durant, huge height advantage over Terence Man. He's going to get a tough turnaround jump shot that was well contested that turns into a miss. Now, we're going to look at another matchup. This guy right here, Ivica Zubac, way bigger than this guy right here, Bol. Why make the game more difficult than it needs to be? Ball gets thrown to Russ. Watch Russ immediately identify it. Russ catches, he looks, he sees Zubac has a deep seal on Bol. He's just going to back him down further into the lane, and we're going to get a really nice post-entry feed from Russ for an and-one dunk. So again, physical advantage on one end, tough pull-up jump shot. Physical advantage on the other end, bury him under the rim and dunk it in his face. That's a huge difference in the physical imposition of the game. Like I talked about in our contender ranking segment, basketball is beautiful until it's not. And that turnaround jumper looks real damn pretty when it goes in. But you know what goes in every single time? The bigger dude just dunking on the smaller dude. It's not as pretty in terms of shot making, but it's way more effective. Alrighty, this next one is a defensive play by Terence Man that's going to lead to another transition run out. So first of all, right here, Amir Coffey's chasing Devin Booker, and because he's chasing him with real length and athleticism, Devin Booker is going to be like, I need to go to the opposite side of the rim. This is a textbook example of an offensive player using the rim as an extra piece of almost like a screen. So he knows that Amir Coffey's best chance to block him is on this left side of the basket. So he's going to come around to the right side of the basket, and Terence Man is going to meet him there and force him to kind of go up and under, and he's going to smoke the layup. Then running out the other end, we're going to get the exact same kind of sequence. This time, Zubac is ahead of Bol. So in the transition defense, someone else is going to pick him up. This time it's Grayson Allen. Hands up already. Paul George identifies it, throws it to Zubac, buries him, and dunks it. Here we're going to get another really nice piece of shot making from Paul George, hitting a nice little dribble pull-up over Bradley Beal on the right elbow area. See, they can do the pretty shit too, but they can also kick your ass. This is some outstanding individual defense by Amir Coffey on Kevin Durant. So look, he's getting set up for this screening action. He knows Zubac is not switching, so he's got to stay attached. He does. The action gets him a little bit of an advantage here. Nice little tag from Paul George, by the way, to stop Kevin Durant from just immediately turning the corner. Turns into an ISO. Look at this. Physical, in his face, both hands on his body. Gets the hands off so he doesn't get the call. He knows the rip through is coming, so he's got to take his hands off. Hands off. Look at that. That's such a smart defense there. Physical, but as soon as he sees the rip through coming, hands off to prevent the foul. Look at that. Gets his hands away just in time. Slides his feet to the right. Gets an outstanding contest on on literally the guy with the highest release point in the league. Forces an air ball. Think about how often Kevin Durant works on that shot and how difficult it is to force him into an air ball. Excellent individual defense by Amir Coffey. And then here we go. Last possession of this sequence. We're 32-4 at this point. We're going to get what's called a soft switch. So Paul George, again, outstanding pull-up shooter. The Suns want to switch this action because Thad Young, as a forward, is capable of switching. Royce O'Neal is going to call for the switch on the screen. But this is a passive switch because he's back. An aggressive switch, Thad Young would have met him right here. But he's in a passive switch. You can literally see his weight on his heels. And Paul George just rises right over the top of him and knocks it down. So that's a great example, a little example from film of how the Clippers are capable of playing a very physically imposing brand of basketball. And how Phoenix, if you punch them in the mouth, they have a tendency to kind of stagger and lose their confidence and fall apart in that sort of setting. We also know they can thrive in that setting, but they're very inconsistent in that type of setting. Like I talked about earlier, it doesn't come naturally to them the way it does for the Clippers. And to me, it gives the Clippers a little bit more resiliency in the way that their game translates to the postseason. And that is, in my opinion, a good breakdown of, or a good example of why I have the Clippers one step ahead of the Suns in my contender rankings.